Welcome to the Upside Down Kingdom.
Hey there, welcome to the sermon preview for this week. I'm glad you're taking a second to join me today. I'm going to be here by myself today. Pastor Lance is spending time with his new babies that are in the hospital still, so we want to continue to pray for Lance and Bridget and Haley and Emerson and Colin as they are continuing to grow and develop in the hospital right now. So we want to lift them up in prayer and support them in the ways we can. So this week in our sermon, we're going to be continuing on in our Sermon on the Mount series called Upside Down Kingdom. And we're going to be ending a section in where Jesus is talking about, here's what you've heard from the teachers of the law, but this is what I say to you. Right? We've had 6 of these different sections in which Jesus more or less corrected their understanding or their interpretation. And it seems like all the other ones have kind of been building up to this one. And this perhaps might be the most well-known teaching from this section in the Sermon on the Mount, where it says, where Jesus says, I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. So this idea of love your enemies is just so radical, I might even say scandalous. To love someone who is actively hating you is just bizarre. The people that would have been hearing this would not have known how to respond and would not know how am I supposed to do this? What does this even look like? So for us today, we hear this idea of love your enemy, and I think it remains as radical and scandalous as it was back then, because what the world is telling us is the people that don't like you, the people that are your enemy, forget them. Let them go. Treat them however you want to treat them because they're treating you the same way. And Jesus says, no, as followers of Jesus, we are called to be different. We're called to love those who hate us, right? And this is what the kingdom of heaven is all about. Right? Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is here, and this is what it's about. To be salt and light is to be different, to stand out from the world to where they can look at you and say, there's something different here. And so we see this in this passage where Jesus says to love your enemies is so different than what the rest of the world is saying. And then he sums it up with this idea of be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Now, this is a really, really deep phrase. There's a lot we can talk about in this. But the question that I want to pose to you in this is, and we'll talk about it more in the sermon, but the question I just want you to ponder on this verse specifically is, what does it mean to be perfect? What does Jesus mean when he says, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect? What does that mean? So I'm looking forward to this Sunday. This is a really, really deep passage, and I think there's a lot within our roots as who we are as followers of Jesus that is grounded in this passage, in this teaching from Jesus. So I'm excited for this Sunday. As you're reflecting, obviously look over this passage, read it maybe in a couple different translations, and then think about this question: who is your enemy? I think sometimes we have to recognize and identify who is the person that I really don't want to spend any time with, who's the person that I'm actively avoiding, who's the person that I hate, who is the person that I would consider my enemy. And then I think we have to consider what Jesus is saying here is love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you. So there's this call, this active call to love and pray for those that you don't like. And that's really hard because it gets personal. And so this passage gets personal. This passage cuts deep to the heart. And I'm looking forward to what God has for us this coming Sunday. So we'll see you then. Take care.
In his upside down kingdom again.